as a 16-year-old, and given that I've, like, looking back on how I behaved and acted through learning about politics, I don't think the voting age should be lowered, personally, because I look back on what I thought maybe 1-2 years ago, and I thought, wow, that's some pretty dumb stuff. I had some very hot takes on what, like, trans people and that sort of thing. And now I'm 16, I look back on that and I think, wow, that's some kind of awful stuff. And I'm sure, and this is something that's been going through my life, and I'm sure in the future I will think, wow, those things that I thought when I was 16, that was really dumb, that was awful. So that's sort of my opinion on that. I just argue that people at the age of 16, they don't have enough experience to know, like, what's going on. Because speaking around with most people in my class, they don't know anything about politics most of the time. It's just like, I bring something up in politics and they go, what? So I'm just thinking, what is your opinion? Well, I sort of know your opinion, but what about the fact that people who are 16, they haven't had enough experience to sort of be able to come up with a developed opinion on most topics?
Cool, excellent question.
Can I?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. To be honest, that's just you. Obviously, no, I get what you mean. Like, when you are 16, and even now at my age, I'm 18 now, but it's not like I know everything. But I feel like in London, children and, like, younger people tend to be a lot more complacent. I've done several activities during sixth form where I've met people from outside of London, and the amount they know compared to me, about politics, they're very engaged, they care a lot. And I feel like in urban areas like these, you don't really care because you're in this little like bubble. But everywhere else it's not the same, and it's because we don't feel we're not disadvantaged in London, not the way that people are in other places in the country. So I feel like just because we are a little bit more, careless, doesn't mean that other people are. There are there was question time the other day, and this 16-year-old literally gave out a really, really good answer that made a politician stutter. So it's just, mainly us, I would say, that need to be more engaged politically. So, yeah.
Just to slightly add to that, as somebody who was 25 when I took on Nigel Farage, as somebody who spent some time going around and seeing a lot of views from around the country, there are some views in the older age groups that aren't exactly great either, and people's views change through time. And now, one of the points that I regularly make is, I studied EU law at 2 universities in 2 different languages and worked in EU affairs for 2 years in Brussels with the EU institutions. Yet because I didn't fully understand the issues around Northern Ireland and Brexit, my vote in 2016 wasn't fully informed. The idea that everybody who voted in 2016 had enough experience or enough knowledge to make an informed decision is simply wrong. Now, what that means is that a lot of that vote in 2016 wasn't about the facts, it was about values. What sort of country do we want to be? Now, you as 16-year-olds have a value set that will be fundamentally different to a lot of people over the age of 65, but you got outvoted, and it's your future we're dealing with. And values change over time within a population. The values of the UK are different now to what they were in the 50s. It is more important now that your voices and your values are represented in Westminster.